So I want to start, you know, talking about Strawberries and Cream and how it all came about. So am I right in thinking it was from Cream, the club night in Cambridge?
Yes.
So did you start that?
No, I didn't start Cream. So Cream was going a year before I got there.
Right.
And Will, who's one of the co-founder of Strawberries and Cream with me, started that with and Priye, who was also at Cambridge with me. We were both promoters for Will as like kind of freshers turning up, trying to make some money doing club promotions. And we turned that basically between us into kind of alternative music night, bringing different sort of genres of music to Cambridge. The alternative to kind of like ABBA and Arctic Monkeys and
well, that's all it was. You had Cindy's and you had Life.
Yeah.
And it was just basically Mr. Brightside on repeat for the whole night.
Exactly that. And I just that wasn't for me at all. So and at the time it was like I've obviously been in London. I come from London and I kind of grew up around that sort of music scene. And it was just kind of, it was bubbling. I felt like a time where like that music was about to kind of have its moment. So we just started playing it in the clubs, and effectively Strawberries and Cream has ridden that wave of first grime and then Afro swing and now drill and everything that's come around that and on that trajectory. And Strawberries and Cream has managed to follow that and be kind of at the forefront of bringing that music to Cambridge.
How did it feel bringing a different genre of music into Cambridge in the first place?
It was a tough gig, I tell you that. I mean, you probably remember a few nights where I'd be sat outside Fez with an empty club because no one really wanted to come and explore what we were doing. But I think it was like a persistence thing. And because we really enjoyed it and we loved the music and just saw the potential there, we carried on. But it did take a while for people to kind of buy into what we were doing and also for people to take us seriously in a way. It was like we were challenging the establishment, which is Life and Cindy's, which wasn't even the name of the clubs. They had been that was the name of the clubs like years ago, and that was just the sports nights of uni, and where everyone kind of went on a Sunday and a Wednesday. And trying to challenge that was interesting. So it's actually funny going back and seeing all the people being like, "Oh, you went from Fez to this massive festival. Congrats!" And I was like, "Yeah, it's nice to actually be able to prove them wrong in a way because." There was definitely not much appetite for it when we first started.
And so after the club night, then turned into a garden party, right? That was the first kind of non-club night version of Cream or Strawberries and Cream.
Yeah, so the garden party was done under the guise of the Cambridge Medic Society. That's how we got the kind of rights to the land.
Got it.
And it was effectively an alternative to what was going on in May Week. You know, May Week is kind of extravagant May balls, everyone dresses up in black tie, it's quite high ticket price, and we wanted to do something slightly different, be a bit more accessible, and also actually just bring Cambridge Uni together with Anglia Ruskin and some locals as well, which also was very taboo at the time of being at Cambridge. So it was kind of putting something on for the city, not just the university. And we've seen that grow since.
Yeah. And so then it was a garden party, and then you launched it. Was it the following year as a proper, independent festival?
Yeah, so it was definitely first year was we called it a festival, but it was very much a garden party. And the year after we booked Skepta for kind of a fraction of the price that he was at the time of the festival, and we kind of caught him on that trajectory where he dropped Shut Down. He was on stage at the Brits. Kanye West had kind of like co-signed him in a way, and he had just had this moment on his beginning of his rise to like kind of commercial success, and that sold the festival out instantly, effectively.
How did you book him for that price? Was that just where he was in his career and before he kind of shot up?
Yeah, we obviously I'd grown up on Skepta. I'd known him since I was kind of in primary school, and we just thought he's a symbol of everything that grime music is at the time, and let's book him. And we didn't really have any idea that he was going to shoot to the sun of success he managed to achieve in that short space of time. So we just got very lucky with that booking. But then that's the kind of pattern we, as a festival, kind of followed and helped us grow. So we booked Kano the following year before he dropped his Made in the Manor album. And then again the year after with J Hus and Common Sense and AJ Tracy and that sort of thing. And then even on from that, it was D Block Europe and H. And then even last year was Central C had him on site, and he's now kind of one of the hottest artists in the UK. And it's just that's the trajectory we've had, is kind of trying to catch talent before they hit the mainstream success, and we can't then afford their proper booking fees.
So when you're looking for the headliners, do you have a group brainstorm and you're like, this is the hit list, this is who we really want on, or does it work in a different way?
It is a very collaborative process. I think there's quite a few of us now involved in the team, and we all kind of have our ideas. Priya is a brilliant asset to have. He works at Sony Music, so he kind of has his ear to the ground, knows when releases are coming, that sort of thing, and that's kind of helped us massively on the way. And it is we do share the process massively, but there are kind of key criteria that we try and look for that just build like an all-round lineup in a way. It's not. Yeah, if one person falls out, then the rest of the lineup has to change. It's kind of
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And who mentioned Lil Wayne? Whose idea was that?
Do you know what? I've been shouting Lil Wayne for a long time, but this year he's allowed to get his visa back because Trump pardoned him on his exit from the White House. So one thing I can actually be very grateful for. But yeah, so now he's allowed back into the UK, and yeah, we got him at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of, once we did get him, there was a lot of kind of politics in the industry around it, but we've got him on an exclusive now.
Yeah.
And yeah, can't wait to see him live. He's one of my favorite rappers of all time.
Yeah, that's class. That's wicked. And can you help me understand the scale of Strawberries and Cream now? How big is it?
So Strawberries and Cream now, we're probably doing 15,000 people a day across 3 days.
Wow.
So yeah, around like kind of 45,000 people across a weekend, which is nuts. Compared to the first one was about 500 people in Anstey Hall Garden.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And this isn't that, obviously you hope this doesn't happen, but what are the things that you need to think about in terms of what can go wrong at a festival?
Oh God, everything. I mean, you always, because we're growing, there's always new challenges every year that we have to encounter. So, I mean, 2019 almost wrote us off because it was the first time we ever encountered rain on the lead up to it. And that kind of ruins the whole build process. I mean, festivals are a microcosm of wider society. So anything that can go wrong in life kind of can happen on a festival. And a lot of the time that's amplified because of people drinking, people doing whatever, and people being like in that sort of environment. So yeah, there's a lot of precautions about what could go wrong, which I try not to think about too much.
Yeah.
I still have a panic attack.
So what has gone wrong then? Things that you can talk about. What have been the failures that you've learned from?
The 2019 rain year for us was almost catastrophic. COVID went very wrong for us.
Yeah,
it was.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was a very tough time, and especially coming off the back of 2019, which was publicly it was a success, but internally it was just so difficult. We were doing probably 18, 19 hours a day on site. I've got scars on my legs from Wellington boot burns, just trying to get the site like safe for people to enter, and then going off the back of that into kind of COVID and not having the support financially initially, and then having to cancel and refund tickets. And there was a point, honestly, I probably thought I was going to have to change my name and move countries.
Where were you when you realised you'd have to cancel? Were you all together? Were you all, chatting over WhatsApp?
We had a Zoom call about it. I think we were quite lucky at the time. We were working on doing a deal with an Apple Music label called Platoon, and they were working out in South by Southwest as well. And that South by Southwest over in America, it seemed like they started pulling things before we did. We just thought, this is just a kind of fad. This is never going to kind of travel over to here and have that sort of impact. But when they pulled at South by Southwest, it must have been January 2020, we started putting the wheels in motion for things to like go wrong effectively.
Got it.
But we didn't publicly cancel until Glastonbury cancelled, because it was still a bit up in the air about the public perception of what cancelling is and everything. It was all a very touch and go time. But yeah, we were all on a Zoom. It was quite emotional. And then we'd be like, what do we do now?
And what did you do? Had to refund everything, just basically start. I mean, that in and of itself must be a huge project in refunding tickets and communicating it to people and talking to suppliers, partners, and so on.
Yeah, it was. We didn't know what we were going to do, to be honest, because we were in discussions with Sony Music pre-pandemic. The contract was on the table, ready for us to sign an agreement, and the office shut. and we couldn't get in there to sign it. And then they effectively went quiet on us for 4 months. And in that time, it was a case of, really trying to get our heads down, deal with everything, and also renegotiate that deal. Which then there was obviously a lot of pressure. There was a lot of money in the balance. And effectively we did manage to convince them that we were worth investing in. And it's been brilliant working with them ever since, to be honest. It's taken a lot of the stresses, stresses, some sort of stresses away, the financial pressure, definitely, and opened up so many doors now, which is super exciting for me, and taking the career to another level.
What are some of the main learnings you have from the past few years of running Strawberries and Cream?
The main learning is definitely have a clear vision on what you want to achieve, but also be really agile to being able to pivot. We've had to change strategies so many times, but I think that having the end goal in sight has been crucial. Otherwise, we'd just lost sight and not really had the drive to keep going with it.
Mm-hmm. And what is the end goal for you? What's the vision?
The end goal for us is to be one of the most recognizable festivals on the UK circuit on both brands, Strawberries and Cream and the Cambridge Club. The Cambridge Club is now actually outselling Strawberries and Cream.
No.
Yeah. It's wild. It's just a totally different offering. So much easier to run. Those two brands really established them, and then just look beyond that. Like we've always said, we didn't want to just be a festival brand, and COVID really showed us that that is a terrible business model, really, just to have all your eggs in one weekend of the year. So it's expanding that, looking at other territories you can do, taking the brand into different sort of areas, which we've kind of been doing over the last few years, but definitely focusing more on that at the moment. Mm-hmm.